Tension in the South China Sea was a dominant theme at a major security meeting last weekend in Singapore. NHK World's senior commentator Aiko Doden was at the Shangri-La Dialogue to hear the views of ASEAN nations on the territorial disputes.
Security experts and military personnel gathered to listen to a closed session on the South China Sea. As many as 90 participants queued to take part. A Vietnamese delegate reiterated the official position on territory.
The issue of sovereignty, Vietnam has no compromising view.
A former lieutenant general from Indonesia expressed his uneasiness towards the economic and the military rise of China.
The security community of Indonesia also has taken notes of the economic rise of China, which can lead into strengthening their military prowess.
Many more paid attention to how the security chiefs of China and the US voiced their position. The language wasn't subtle.
If these actions continue, China could end up erecting a great wall of self-isolation.
We do not make trouble, but we have no fear of trouble. China will not bear the consequences, nor will it allow any infringement on its sovereignty and security interests, or stay indifferent to some countries creating chaos in the South China Sea.
China claims almost the entire maritime area in the South China Sea. The Philippines, Vietnam, and other Southeast Asian countries claim parts of it. With a third of the global economy generated in Asia today, powers now compete for predominance in the region. Washington seeks to further U.S. engagement in the region under President Barack Obama's rebalance to Asia and the Pacific. Beijing is simultaneously reaching out to ASEAN via sea trade routes known as the Maritime Silk Road and provision of aid by Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. At a 2012 meeting in Cambodia, the 10 ASEAN nations failed to reach an agreement on how to deal with China's claim on the South China Sea. Southeast Asian nations are now finding themselves caught in a tug of war, and their positions with regard to China and the US vary depending on their stakes.
China is no longer the cute, cuddly panda that it was in the charm diplomacy 15 years ago.
Loudest country is the Philippines, and we are supported by Vietnam because of our strong claims in the area. But the rest of Southeast Asia, they have a different outlooks on how to manage it peacefully. And China is taking advantage of that situation.
The Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague is expected to issue a ruling soon on the dispute between the Philippines and China. But the Philippines' incoming President Rodrigo Duterte could further complicate the situation. He has expressed the intention to hold bilateral talks with Beijing.
Will be a diversion from the conventional approach where the issue was supposed to be dealt multilaterally.
There is now a paradigm shift in Philippines-China relationship under the Duterte presidency. The only way to get political victory is either to pressure China to abide by the decision, or to convince China that it will also benefit China by abiding with the decision, or come out with commonly acceptable terms with China by discussing the issue bilaterally.
With the creation of the ASEAN Economic Community of a Single Market, member states are aware that this is the time to unite. But what has become increasingly apparent is that there is a shared notion of division instead. Aiko Doden, NHK World, Singapore.